So when it comes to sub teams, G.I. Joe Real American Hero knew everything about it because they had a ton of sub teams back in the day. And you know what? The GIJoe Classified team has taken a playbook from there. They've done a ton already, including Tiger Force, Python Patrol, Night Force, Sarge's Marauders, and they're even starting to dabble in Ninja Force. But two questions remain. Will they continue with any of these sublines? And as well, what's going to be the next one? Stay tuned. For my pick, you'll be surprised. I know I was. Anyways, but first, if you do enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, think about hitting that like button as well. If you happen to be new here, think about hitting that subscribe button. Also, YouTube tells us that you should probably hit that bell as well so you don't miss any more new videos. Anyways, thanks for joining us, and let's get right into it. Now, of course, when we're referencing a Real American Hero, there was a ton of sub teams that we haven't even seen yet in Classified, or will we ever potentially see. They got Sky Patrol, they got the DEF, they got, a few others, and we'll talk about some of the other ones later in the video. But the thing is, related to the ones they have done for Classified, are we going to see updates to these anytime soon, or are we done with them? Like related to Tiger Force, that was a Target exclusive, but there's a lot of other figures in the Tiger Force grouping that you could do. You got Jinx, you got Dial Tone, you got Lifeline. There's a bunch of figures there. Now, some of those are newer figures like Lifeline, but they could easily make it to Tiger Force if the GIJoe team would go back and add into that line. Also, don't forget, you got the Dragonfly and the Snowcat that easily reskinned the Tiger Force vehicles, and we've already seen precedent set with this with the Arctic Hiss Tank. Will we ever see a Tigerfly? You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to see that at some point, or a Tiger Cat? I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see, because those things could be, especially the Tiger Cat, that could be years out if GIJoe Classified continues. They might want to reuse that mold. But even like Night Force, you've got other characters there like Outback and Psych Out. And, Psych Out's coming, and they said he was a different character. Is that a Night Force one? We don't know as of yet, right? Or even related to Python Patrol, they've done a lot of those characters, but they didn't ever do Major Blood, and I was really surprised. I actually did, I think, a full video on that on the channel previously when Python Patrol was on the go. I really thought we would have got a Python Patrol Major Blood released at some point, but apparently not. And needless to say, it's probably not going to happen at this point. Anyways, that being said, I've got 3 sub teams that they could easily do in GIJoe Classified, and let's take a closer look right now. I'll pick up the first one, and the first one would obviously be Eco Warriors. Okay, so first up we have the Eco Warriors, and you know what? I just have to say, I think the Eco Warriors, the Cobra guys are a little stronger. I do think that they would be an amazing addition to the GIJoe Classified line. Of course, you've got Cesspool. First up, Cesspool. I mean, this guy is completely badass, and the fact is that they really need to add him to the Classified line. Even if they didn't do a full Eco Warriors subset for Classified, Cesspool is a cool enough character that they need to do him on his own. They just need to add him to Classified. I do think Cesspool will indeed come to the Classified line at some point, hopefully sooner than later. Anyways, Cesspool is a must-do. Then, of course, you have the Sludge Viper and the Toxo Viper, and they're easy troop builders. These guys would be making a great addition to this potential Cobra Eco Warrior section. I think they're both no-brainers, and you might even want to include the Toxo Viper as well, because I think that's pretty cool too. They've already done those the Energon guys, which I can't remember their names, that dig for the Energon. They kind of fit with them, but yeah, the Toxo Viper, the Toxo Zombie, the Toxo Viper, the Sludge Viper, the Cesspool, easy wins, I think. Then if we switch over to the Joe side, you don't need to necessarily do all these guys, right? But I mean, probably Ozone, maybe a Flint, maybe Barbecue, Clean Sweep. I actually, to be honest with you, I never had any Eco Warriors in my Real American Hero line, so I don't have any nostalgia towards these guys. So we'd have to see how they turn out, but I do think the Eco Warriors would be a great subline to come to GIJoe Classified. So I mean, let me know in the comments what you think. I mean, some people don't enjoy them because of their wild neon colors, but I mean, I think they could be toned down a little bit and just really made totally awesome with a classified redesign. Anyways, let me know what you think. Now we're going to take a look at another sub-team, and I have to be honest, this one caught me by surprise because I looked at this list on GIJoe.com of the sub-teams, and I was like, wait a second, don't we know something about this one? So obviously we're talking about the Desert Patrol, and not something that really, rolled off my tongue when I was going to speak about the sub-teams from a Real American Hero coming to GIJoe Classified in this video, but we're pretty sure we've already heard something about the Desert Patrol, potential Desert Patrol sub-team coming to Classified via Destro is my spirit animals, his leaker guy or whatever that's talking to him all the time. So you know what? Who will we get potentially in this list? Obviously in the thumbnail I put that Snake Eyes that's already been released, but we need a few more characters, a few more guys to fill out the team. So let's see who was available in the Real American Hero version and that we could potentially see coming to a potential classified version of this sub-team. Now, once again, back on GIJoe.com. I forgot to mention that earlier. Now, GIJoe.com is nice because it shows you everything like in a glance, where I usually like 3D Joes as well, but theirs is more for individual looks or whatever of figures. So, I mean, right away, so this Desert Patrol squad, like we basically have a version of this Snake Eyes in Classified already. And you know what? There's a good mix of characters here. Without doing anybody new, we could see a Dusty repaint, a Gung Ho repaint, some kind of Scarlet repaint, and a Stalker repaint, and a Tunnel Rat repaint. So that is a good mix of characters that they don't really have to put much effort into this. They're going to get some reuse out of this from some older characters that were released in the line. And you know what? I think this possibly could happen. Maybe throw in some vehicles repainted in the desert color as well, motif. And this could happen. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. This is not my necessary favorite thing because, I mean, it is going to be seriously just a bunch of reissues or reuse characters. But, I mean, people love their sub-teams. So, I mean, if they're going to start on building a Desert Patrol squad based on that leak that we've already seen, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to do. And sometimes companies just like easy wins with their brands or whatever. So, maybe we'll see this sooner than later. Next up, we have what I would consider, out of what we looked at so far, my pick. And this surprised myself, okay? I think potentially we could see Star Brigade sooner than later or whatever. We don't know what's coming as of yet. We're going to hit GIJoe June in the next month or so. So maybe get some teases there or what next sublines we should expect to see. But Star Brigade, to me, has the most potential right now. And that is very interesting because I did not have any Star Brigade in my Real American Hero lineup when I was a kid. It came really late and it was kind of silly in a way because it was space and stuff like that. But with what they've been doing lately with bringing Real American Hero designs to Classified, I think it has the most potential to be epic. And let's take a look at some figures. So back on GIJoe.com, and basically the Star Brigade, is split between Joes and Cobras. We'll look at the Cobras first, and you know what? I think potentially if you're gonna do Star Brigade, you gotta have a general trooper like the Bat that they can basically for cannon fodder. It'd be interesting to see a super space version of Destro. Not so much in this Destro, the armor tech suit here, but just some kind of new Destro. I think Target would be cool too. Target would obviously be a great one because they could do a Star Brigade version as well. We've seen a lot of Iron Grenadiers lately, so they could do a real original coloring of Target in his Iron Grenadiers color wave. You could have Black Star. There's a few figures here from Cobra that they could easily translate well to a GIJoe Classified Star Brigade listings. When we flip over to the Joes, I think if you're gonna do Joe Star Brigade figures, you're gonna have to have some version of Roadblock, some version of Payload, some version of Sci-Fi, and maybe Duke to round it out. So I mean, each one of these guys, Star Brigade was weird where they just kept on putting out the same characters for Real American Hero and then just coloring them different colorways. So I think personally those four, I mean anything beyond that would be great as well, but I just think with how Classified has worked, I think the upscaling it to bring it to the 6-inch line, give it a little bit more detail, really good, put some good molding in there, and I do think the Star Brigade figures would be really, really awesome. That's just my opinion. Now, like I said, I didn't have any Star Brigade when I was a kid, so it doesn't have much nostalgia for me, but I do think it has a lot of potential that could maybe a little diversify the GIJoe Classified line a little bit and give it a new little life. Maybe people out there aren't interested in Star Brigade. Let me know in the comments in what you think. So as a quick recap, I had Eco Warriors, the Desert Patrol Squad, and Star Brigade. Potentially, I think would make awesome additions to the GIJoe Classified line. And I mean, I think they all have serious potential. You know what? Like, will they continue with any of the other sublines that they've already started? Tiger Force, Python Patrol, Ninja Force. I mean, obviously Ninja Force is going to continue. They've got that Scarlet 2-pack coming as well that they just teased to us. So I mean, I think a lot of people out there love their sublines. It gives you something else to collect inside your collection, right? So I think they will obviously continue. I think we will see some of these sublines in a future waves and releases. I mean, they could be a little ways away. With Lenny leaving, you know, maybe they were already working on these. Maybe they weren't working on these and need new ideas, and they'll put these into production. Long story short, it's a time will tell type thing. Anyways, let me know what you think. If you had to pick one of these sub lines that I mentioned, or maybe have another one that you'd rather see, let me know in the comments below. Let's get a little bit of dialogue going and see what we can come up with. And you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some kind of tease, a GIJoe June coming next month. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hey, if you've stayed here this long, think about watching this video right here. We'd really appreciate it as well. Make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the like, and maybe hit that bell thing. Anyways, we'll see you in the next one. Also, don't forget the live stream, Sunday nights, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you next time. Bye.